let's go! Today, I'd like to take a look at the top 10 best movies of all time. Psycho. It's hard not to mention this movie because, while it's not quite the most entertaining movie I've ever seen, this film's impact is what makes it stand out. It has an excellent story, and a surprisingly smart twist at the end. Obviously, I won't spoil the ending for you, though. And geez, I can totally see why it was so controversial in the 1960s. It's definitely a shocking film. Nothing downright traumatizing. These scenes are actually a big part of what makes this film strong. It actually invests you in the story and what's happening. It's intense, yet intriguing. Psycho is a true gem, and I definitely recommend it. The Matrix. This is definitely regarded as one of the greatest films of all time. Not only does it have groundbreaking action scenes, but the philosophy behind the film's story is brilliant. It's just easy to appreciate the fantastic idea of a film about a man discovering that machines have basically took over mankind and that humanity, as of now, is basically a simulation. This simulation is basically the entire philosophy. The philosophy of, am I real? Is the universe just a simulation? Is anything real? It's fascinating to watch the lead character learn about the truth and figure out how to act against the illusion of the Matrix. But I will say this, I definitely don't want to live in the machine world they actually live in. I'd rather just stay in my own simulation.
Ignorance is bliss.
Superbad. I admit this film isn't objectively anything spectacular, but seeing the antics of these teenagers trying to buy drinks and go to a party is really fun. I'd say more, but this is a family-friendly channel and this film is rated R. Even though this movie is definitely not for kids, the whole vibe of the film is just so charming to watch. The characters are enjoyable. Evan is a nice enough guy who's wonderfully awkward. His best friend Seth is a huge potty mouth, but is still a likable character. And stuff like the McLovin skit are freaking iconic.
Wait, you changed your name to McLovin? McLovin? What kind of a stupid name is that, Fogel? What, are you trying to be an Irish R&B singer?
There really isn't that much I can say about Superbad. Again, it's not an objectively amazing film like The Matrix, but it's still a fun, really well-made film. Inside Out 2. Honestly, Pixar movies in general could have filled a decent chunk of the list. They've made a line of really great movies like The Incredibles, Toy Story, and Elemental. But my favorite movie of theirs is probably Inside Out 2. I liked the first Inside Out movie, but I felt like it didn't get quite as immersed in it as much as I should have. But Inside Out 2 really stepped up with its game. The film contains an extremely creative story, likable characters, and surprisingly realistic moments. No, seriously, some of these moments made me really uncomfortable by how realistic they were. But I think that's a great thing. It's really nice to see an animated movie realistically portray teenagers and what they might say or do. This movie takes a really creative approach on puberty. We're introduced to these 4 new emotions: anxiety, ennui, embarrassment, and envy. These emotions basically start to take control of Riley's mind, and I'm not going to spoil the film. The entire film also has a gorgeous, colorful art style that makes the film even better to watch. Inside Out 2 is a delight, and I recommend seeing it at least once. The Barbie Movie. Although I'm not personally a fan of Barbie as a whole, this movie was really well written. It doesn't feel so much like a Barbie film, but it feels more like a film about existentialism and feminism. I'm aware the feminism in this film isn't exactly the best, but it's not really supposed to be taken seriously. The existentialism in this movie is surprisingly strong. Questions like, who am I? Or, where do I belong? The ending is the real focus of these questions. It all creates a surprisingly emotional ending to a freaking Barbie movie. The rest of the movie is just plain fun. The film itself gives you a relaxing vibe with its adventure and story. It's fun seeing these quirky characters doing, again, no spoilers. There isn't a ton I can say in this section, but all I need to know is that the film is fun, and has surprisingly existential themes packed into it. Get Out. This has been one of my favorites for a long while. Most of the time, this film isn't quite top 10 best movies territory, but there were a few elements that really made the film. I really enjoyed the lead character and his friend. The lead character, Chris Washington, is refreshingly determined about getting the heck out of this place he's in. No spoilers. And his friend that he talks to has such a great personality, and I love it. But the main thing that really made this movie was the ending. Oh, geez, that ending. It is easily one of the most satisfying, gripping, and thrillingly spectacular movie endings I've ever watched. I can't say a lot without spoiling the film. If you're mature enough to handle the R-rated violence and language, you're just gonna have to see this movie. The Truman Show. This movie can't not be mentioned. Like the Barbie movie, this movie has lots of themes of existentialism. Except while the Barbie movie has other parts besides existentialism, the Truman Show feels completely drenched in it. The movie is about a TV show called The Truman Show, and it centers around a guy named Truman living in a city. Except Truman is completely unaware of the TV show, and is also unaware that he's actually lives in a giant dome, not a town. And the people he's surrounded by are just actors on the set. Basically, Truman gradually realizes that there's something wrong with this place, and that he has to get the heck out of there. Seeing Truman slowly realize that his life is essentially a lie is really satisfying and intriguing to watch. Like Get Out, this movie's ending really made the film for me. It is emotional and deeply powerful. The Truman Show is an incredibly smart, thoughtful, and emotional film. I highly recommend this one. Dead Poet Society. This is just a powerful and thoughtful film. It shows the lives of these students in a boarding school. The school is shown to be not exactly the best environment. However, these students actually have a great teacher that inspires these students, and he uses poetry for much of his inspiration. This movie is just really well written. Robin Williams plays one of the most fascinating teachers I've ever seen in media. He teaches students in surprisingly satisfying and interesting ways. The characters are also just so well developed, and it creates a really touching end to the film that just hits hard. A big part of what made this film special was seeing one of the characters try his best to become an actor, but his father continually forbids it. This continual debate, and what this debate does to the character, his family, and the other characters, is just done really well. I can't think of a ton of specific reasons why I love this film so much, but the best I can say is, it's just extremely well written, well developed, and touching. Instinct. Most of you probably have never heard of this film, and it somehow only has a 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb. But personally, I think this film is well written, deep, and emotional. Instinct follows a guy that used to live with nature who recently got sent off to a prison. A psychiatrist tries to understand him, and we see this prisoner's philosophy and past experiences. This film's story is way better than it sounds, trust me. The story here is just written really well, with a mix of satisfying scenes and heartbreaking scenes. And geez, the scene where the psychiatrist tries to change the rules of when prisoners go outside for fresh air with his powerful speech is just so brilliantly done. Like the past other films I've talked about, this movie also has a powerful and extremely well-written ending. Instinct is just such a well-written, well-done film. I'd say go watch it, but honestly, it's hard to find this film. When my family and I tried to watch it, we couldn't find it anywhere. We couldn't even find it on freaking Amazon. We had to go to a crappy foreign website to view it. If you can find this film, I highly recommend viewing it. It's a powerful, deep, emotional film. This is almost as good as movies get. Almost. The Shawshank Redemption. The Shawshank Redemption is a true classic in cinema history. It has timeless messages, timeless characters, and a timeless story. It is a drama film that is done almost perfectly. It's about this guy who's guilty of a crime he didn't commit and shows how he deals with jail. He becomes great friends with another guy, and he becomes basically an iconic person among the prison. There are other points in the film that I am too lazy to get into in this video. My point is, this film is a strong and incredibly thoughtful story, and it's executed perfectly. Seeing how even in a huge prison, hope can grow in a person. Hope can still make you try and live the best life you can. The other points in this film that I will not get into or spoil for you are gripping and incredibly interesting. The characters in this movie are intriguing, likable, and easy to root for. And the ending of this movie is just perfect. I will not spoil it for you, but it wraps up all of the well-developed characters and well-developed storylines in the best way they could. The Shawshank Redemption is a film that gives hope in the darkest of situations. It has incredible characters, writing, and storylines that all come together in the end perfectly. For me, it is a comfortable choice for my #1 favorite movie of all time. While we all know cinema is going to have some lousy flicks, we also appreciate the softer side of cinema. The side of good writing, good stories, and good characters. Even if cinema isn't always perfect, it is still a fantastic entertainment experience. Thanks for watching, everyone, and please like, subscribe, and comment down below.